And of course, I did mention that I was part of that team. I was in that committee. And Shem, you promised us a good performance, that we were going to see what our boys and girls were made of. And realistically, they did perform.
Absolutely, they did perform. I also mentioned that we had two teams that we were targeting to beat. One was South Africa, and the other one was Morocco. We managed to leapfrog Morocco, who have been giving us a hard time in the past. So in all, I would say our boys and girls performed well. Coming second in both categories was an awesome performance by our team.
Well, coming second, of course, was awesome for both teams. And you did say it rightfully, Shem Orwenyo, part of the coaching team for the Kenya juniors. We also have the team manager, who also happens to double up. No, actually, it should be the other way around. Because he's the president of the Junior Golf Foundation first before he became team manager. That is Vincent Mukiri. Karibu sana Bwana Mukiri.
Thank you for having me.
This is the first time we are hosting you in studio, so we know there's a lot of conversations. And congratulations to JGF, because we need to congratulate you for hosting what was quite an event.
Yeah, thank you. We had a great one.
No, it's good to hear that, and good to be part of it as well. And the thing is, if you look at the tournament generally and what was being said during the gala, it was a lot of pressure on the team that is coming up next, that is Namibia, and handing over of the flag. I remember when that happened, the Namibian team manager came out and said they'll do it big and better, but you could already tell the pressure. And just in a nutshell, Mukiri, if you can just summarize the tournament for you, and I want you to do it from a JGF perspective, not as a team manager's perspective, in terms of were you happy, were you pleased with what you were able to do and what you were able to achieve, considering this is the first time that JGF was hosting a major event in Kenya?
This journey started last year after our last performance in Tunisia. Of course, we didn't perform as well as we wanted. And so as the Junior Golf Foundation, we went back and checked what can we do different. And it has been a journey of 9 months to get here, where we sat down and crafted a strategy of, as a host nation, also ensuring that we perform well. And so on the background, we sat with the parents, we sat with the players, we sat with the administrators and the board and the coaches, and asked ourselves, what can we tweak to make sure that we have a great tournament? And so players were put in camp, a bigger number than this. And then, of course, from the 20 that we went to camp, we chose these 4 boys and 3 girls. And they were supported all along by their coaches. They were supported all along by the board re-evaluating the feedback coming from that. And so I can say for sure we did what we had planned to do. Of course, we were aiming for gold, number 1 position, but we will take number 2. And we are glad that for the boys, then they are able to go to Japan. And for the girls, we are working on ensuring that we can also give it a shot.
Well, working on whether we can give it a shot, but I don't want Mukiri to be the one to say these figures, so allow me to be the devil's advocate, because I know he has to be politically correct. PS Mwangi, during the gala night, came out and boldly stated that the girls will also be accompanying the boys to Nagoya in Japan. So I know Mukiri cannot say it.
Well, no problem.
No pressure.
Bwana Mukiri, when you come to the sports garage, we record such promises. And we hold those people
to account.
This is what I can say.
Yes.
The government has been a great supporter. The government was a major sponsor for this tournament, and the PS has been present
throughout, by the way.
Throughout. So we are then walking the next half of the journey. He told us fly the flag high and make us proud, and so I'm sure he's very happy.
Wonderful.
Together with his team, and I'm sure that this is just a follow-up of that.
No, just a follow-up. And think, I did also speak. I told you I spoke to Elijah Mwangi, and he promised that he's going to come, because I told him there are a few bones that we have to pick with him.
Yes.
So we don't want Mukiri to be caught in the crossfire.
Yes,
Easy vita yake.
Usikule stray bullet. Usikule stray bullet. Yeah, but we totally appreciate when work is done, as you just rightly put it, there was big support from the government. When that happens, we are on the first line, clapping and congratulating the institution for doing that work. On the other hand, when we have some issues, and we have had them here, but let's not use this platform, because on this note, we are celebrating a good tournament, we are celebrating success, and we are also noting good support from the state.
And Thigi, I just want to reiterate that, because to be quite honest, the support from the government was humongous. Because to be honest, without the support of the government, this tournament could not have happened. And I know Mukiri will also agree with me, because the government put in, and again I'm quoting the PS. I don't know whether Mukiri has seen the money, but I know that the PS did state that $1 million had been put into the preparation of this tournament. So we are talking about roughly 130 million Kenya shillings. But now, away from the mathematics, away from the politics, I want us now to go to the costs, and this is where Coach Shem comes in. Coach, we had from the president, Mr. Mukiri, that we had a 9-month period for preparation. What did that entail?
So for the 9 months, we had a camp of 20 juniors, and twice a week we practiced at Windsor. Windsor is also the headquarters for Junior Golf Foundation. So twice a week on Monday, every Monday and Wednesday we practiced. On Mondays we focused on coursework. On Wednesday we focused on technical work. In between there we did some mental coaching, some health and nutritional coaching, some physical fitness coaching. So it was an all-round program where we tried to enrich the juniors with everything they need to be better golfers.
Well, you did enrich them with all they needed. Now, I'm curious, because the other thing that everyone will be talking about, and this is what Thigi asked me yesterday.
Yeah.
He was like, we had a player that played 15 under, a South African player, that is Andre. We had a girl that played 7 under. Yet when you look at Kenya's performance, we are talking about Muadhi's +1 and Bianca's 3 over. That is a very big difference. How do we bridge that gap?
From a technical perspective, if you go into the scores and look round by round, you'll see the promise these kids had. Mm-hmm. On day 2, Kanana shot 2 under. On day 2, Bianca shot 2 under. On day 3, Muadhi shot 2 under. Right? That is the promise they had.
And Brenda also shot 2 under on the third day.
Yes,
Belinda, sorry.
And Belinda as well shot 2 under
on the last day.
On the third day.
Yeah.
If you look at our scores, we had quite a few level paths, right? The highest scores that counted for us was a 4 over. So now is a matter of, first of all, you have to agree and take to note that some of these kids have not been in this big of a platform, and especially in front of their home crowd.
Yeah.
So there's that always performance anxiety. So those are the mental aspects that we need to just continue to work on to make sure that they are comfortable regardless. I think by day 3, Muadhi had become very comfortable. If you noticed his last putt to finish the round and make a birdie on that last hole, it shows the maturity, because Muadhi was not, when we were going into this tournament, the strongest player.
True.
Of the
Junaid was.
Junaid struggled a lot. We didn't get any underpars from him. But if you actually walked with him, I was a team advisor for the boys. Junaid was really struggling with his swing. But struggling with your swing and being able to shoot level just shows the caliber of player he is and he can be. He was working something out with his, technically with his grip, and that really threw him off. But he was still able to shoot good numbers. So we just need to make sure that I think the remaining part is just to make sure that mentally that they are there and they understand that they belong to that stage and they don't get that little stage fright that they had.
Well, before you go, Thigi, I need to ask him about two other boys because as much as we talk about Junaid, I also noticed that Yuvraj also did struggle. Sevi did well, but again, the same thing. I don't know what really happened, but my hope and prayer is you still don't break that team, because if you keep the four boys together, if you keep that team together, maybe you can put in one or two other people to just challenge them so that they can feel the heat. But my advice to you would be try and keep that team together.
I think it was interesting because after the tournament, we obviously had a team roundup. And one of the things that the boys especially came out and said is that they were very impressed and surprised on how strong and big the South Africans were. So they said, I have to dedicate myself to go to the gym and get stronger, because that is part of the game. Physical fitness, I mean, since the era of Tiger, people started realizing that golf is not just something you go and walk. You need actually to be physically fit. So for them playing along the South Africans, seeing how big and muscled they were and how powerful they were, challenged our boys. So that's one area that we need to work on. And I think both Yuvi and Sevi need to grow a little stronger to be able to match the firepower and the will of the South Africans.
Okay, I've been burning to just get into this conversation.
I
Shem.
could see.
While I am no expert on in the world of golf, unlike my star golfer here, Sami Moraya, I have been following the action, and we saw similar events or similar results and outcomes in the MKO regarding Kenyan participants, where some of the guys who were part of that team, I think we had 13 participants, 13 Kenyans. Was it 13 or 17?
16.
Yeah?
Yeah,
16. Yeah.
In terms of the participating teams?
No. The Kenyans who are in the MKO.
I think we had 12 pros and 6 amateurs.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, actually, we had a total of 18.
18.
Yeah.
Yes.
12 pros and 6 amateurs.
So this
Plus now the 2 juniors.
Yeah.
Because we also had the 2 juniors.
They were part of the amateurs.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this contingent of 18, out of them, if you look at how they qualified for the MKO and the golf they played in the qualification process, and the averages or the scores they've been making in the run up to that tournament, in the tournament proper, we can say the bulk of the Kenyan golfers performed below par.
True.
Below their...
Not the bulk. We
all of them, yes.
Literally only one performed.
Only one performed to their own standard. Leave alone, there's a scenario where you play your best standard, but the competition is playing a much higher standard.
Yes.
But then now here we also have another scenario. The competition is very good, that we admit is on the one hand, but on the other hand, the players did not perform to their own their own standards. And now again we come to the Africa Junior Championships, and you as a head coach, you and Moraya also admits that the players, the golfers, did not play to their standard. We were discussing the daughter to Mudomi before the tournament, Kanana, and you're talking about her the expectations that people had on her, especially after she performed very well at the same course in the tournament at Windsor Golf and Country Club.
A go-to event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, without laboring it on the athletes or the players or the golfers, the question is to you guys, the coaches and the management. There's something we are seeing here. When the occasion becomes big, when the stakes are very high, there's something happening regarding stage fright. And we know about this from all other spheres. I'm an artist. I'm a performer.
When you go to the big stage,
I can tell you about performance and big stages. Yes. I understand all that happens in there. In the world of sport, that comes in as well. So the question again comes back. Both of you, I think you can put in something on this. What do we do What do we have the Toyota Championships, World Championships coming up,
In
where
June.
these juniors, the ones who played this week, they will be participating in that in that tournament. What do we do between now and then? And that's the first question. And on the second hand, what do we need to do generally as Kenyans to overcome that issue?
I would say yes. We expected, like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, it's a matter of consistency. If you go day by day, you'll see some
growth.
semblance of brilliance in there.
Some growth, actually.
Yes. In terms of them, we had Kanana, Bianca, Belinda, Mwathi play to under. So the question is, even for us coaches, is how do we get them to play that level, and how do we minimize the gap between their best rounds and their bad rounds?
Yeah.
If we can minimize that, the gap between their best rounds and their worst rounds, where it's not 10 strokes, it's maybe 4 strokes. If you shoot 70, maybe the worst score you should have in the rest of the tournament should be 74 maybe, or 75. Then we will work on that. But part of it is the confidence, the youthful confidence. I would say in this one there was some youthful confidence that even the players didn't quite follow the game plan to the T, because they felt in this position. And in sports, sometimes you have to give players that leverage, that leeway, to be able to make decisions on the fly, because that's what sports is. But that is a learning process for them, right? Mwathi is basically 15.
True.
15, right? He has 3 more years.
Kanana is 13.
Kanana is 13.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of more years to get them up. And behind them, they are quite a huge contingent of talent that we are bringing up. So I think the mental aspect of it, exposure, and I think Mr. Mukiri here will talk about it, is one of the things as coaches we've suggested is we need to expose them to more international events so that they can get used to being in this stage. They can be used to knowing that the score is what's important than, the style.
True.
So to speak.
And I like the fact that you've already posed the next question
Yes.
to Mr. Mukiri, because now, Mr. Mukiri, the question comes in where, first of all, you are the team manager. So you cannot run away from this team at this particular moment. So unfortunately, we'll be asking you questions at 2 levels, as team manager and also as JGF president. And as team manager, of course, your boys and girls both got silver. And when we look at the South Africans, in terms of technical ability, they were way above. But Kariuki and I were celebrating something yesterday, because we said, let's remove South Africa from the equation now, because they were on another league. Nobody could get to them. So when it comes to the others, now it was South Africa versus others.
And the rest of Africa.
The rest of Africa. So in the rest of Africa, Kariuki, can we clap for ourselves because we were number one? It is important to point that out.
Yes, and most importantly,
we beat Morocco.
Even more importantly, who did we beat at the end? Morocco.
Yes,
exactly.
And I was happy. You know why we were celebrating beating Morocco? They've made us talk about them here
for several
since
months.
January.
Almost
Every
every
time we want to discuss other things, Morocco pops up with this story of AFCON. Mara, they don't accept the result. Mara, what, they've gone to court. Now last week,
Mara, they're stealing towels.
Mara, they're stealing towels. So they've become quite a nuisance. And no offense, I said I love their football, but the AFCON left a bitter taste, and everything that has happened after is just gone worse. So just getting a victory against them it just feels nice. Just feels nice to stick it to them.
And they've been beating us in golf. In the past. So for us to leapfrog them is an achievement. It means we are growing. 2, if you look at the past year's results, the gap between South Africa and Kenya is still growing. It's still getting smaller. South Africa is still way ahead. We have to admit that they've been ahead for a long time. They've been leading in Africa for a long time. But the gap is growing. That is something we need to celebrate.
And just to mention, the system and the structure that we are using now We just started using it 3-4 years ago, where we are using data to determine our progress and to check whether we are doing the right thing. 2 years ago, we were in South Africa for this same competition, and we bet South Africa in South Africa on the last day.
Which is good.
Yes, so
Yes.
they are beatable. And so what we are doing as the Junior Golf Foundation is to use this data to determine what interventions do we need to give to make these juniors become better. So 2 years ago, we introduced holistic training. In the traditionally, the coach uses skills training, but then we brought in mental coaching, we brought in health and nutrition, we brought in strength and conditioning, and so our players are now walking a more holistic journey. And I'm sure the likes of Mwathi, the likes of Sevi, the likes of UV, and even the girls will start bulking up a bit so as to be able to compete better. Again, the other thing is equipment. South Africans has had a head start of almost 50 years. They've done this golf thing for a long time. Morocco themselves train in France and come to compete in Africa. So how do we catch up with all these things? And so with that information, we are then getting equipment that can give us more precise data to be able to then compete at the world stage. And I have no reservations in saying that in the next 5 or 6 years, we shall be competing with South Africa head to head, because they can only get so better to only a certain level. And the numbers that they are giving are international numbers, and that's where we are going. So we expect that in the next 2-3 years, most of our players will be getting unders, even in international competitions, having dealt with stage fright, having been exposed to all these competitions. I have no doubt that we can do it.
Now, I want to bring in an aspect that I never looked at before, Shem, the last time we were here with you, and that is the handicaps. Because when you look at the South African handicaps, because I really want us now to talk about that, and I know I raised this yesterday, thinking, and the worst handicap South Africa had combined was a plus 3.2, and it was for a girl. So it means that all of the, like literally, their best handicap was plus 6.7. And those are pro handicaps. Those are not amateur handicaps. They're literally pro handicaps. And we're talking about juniors. The oldest from the South African team was 17. What about our handicaps? Our handicaps were not anywhere near. So even as we talk about the gap, and so that the listener can, and people that are watching us, because there are those who are watching us on our socials, understand, it is not as bad as it sounds, because South Africans literally brought junior pros. That is something that needs to be pointed out. They brought junior pros. They were competing on another level. That is why even when you look at the score that Morocco brought, and Morocco are third for both boys and girls, they won bronze on both levels. It's because the handicapping for the South Africans was way better. In fact, these are guys that already had a 4-stroke difference by the time somebody was standing on the tee like this. Like when Andre was standing with Mwathi on the tee, because day 2 and day 3 they were in the same team. It was pressure on Mwathi, a young Mwathi. Mwathi is handicapped 1 point.
Just slightly below 2.
Exactly. So he's 1 point something. So the difference between him and Andre was literally 8 strokes. So that already tells you, if Mwathi finishes the way he finished +1, and Andre finished 15 under, it shows Mwathi was not so badly off considering his actual handicap. But then now the question will come in, because I also wanted him to bring, the reason why I'm bringing that handicapping aspect is for the same things that you're talking about. So what do we do to ensure that even when we are competing, we also field similar juniors? Because as I was looking at our South African team, and I was envious of those boys. Anything we put on them, they won, by the way. If it came to like the longest drive, we had a competition for the longest drive.
They took it.
It was won by a South African. Nearest to the pin was won by a South African. But that is for the boys. At least for the girls, we had the longest drive going to Uganda and the nearest to the pin going to Ghana. But all in all,
the longest drive went to Uganda.
No, for the ladies. For the but you should see the the lady who hit that ball.
Hapo kwa longest drive. Yes.
Lakini whoever hit that ball,
I could come, brother. I could come.
You matoke, and you see, you compare her body and that of Kanana. You can even think one is the mother and the other one is daughter. And I'm not lying. You know that. But how do we ensure that we get to the same, Shem?
In the past, we had a problem even getting juniors who can qualify to MKO. Because part of the qualification to get to MKO is you have to be 0 handicap or better. This year we had more than enough juniors who are 0 or better to qualify, who could have qualified for MKO.
Yeah.
That means we are trending in the right direction, right, in terms of how the level of play the juniors are having. So that is just a progression. We have to agree we have our work cut out. We are not at the same level as South Africa, but the progress can be seen, right? I can assure you in the coming years, in the next 2 years, we will have more juniors validly on merit qualify for MKO than older amateurs.
I have a quick question, and this is just a question of understanding, comparing golf to other sports. You've talked about, for example, Kanana, who's 13 years old, and this example Mariah has given about this Ugandan lady looking like she could be passed for the mother of Kanana. And 13-year-olds and 17-year-olds. In other sports, you find that even in athletics, in football, those age groups rarely are grouped together or play in the same competition or in the same league, because there is a perception that the older boy or older girl will have an advantage, especially if you're talking about the drive. They will have more power. They will be able to swing the club stronger, and does that apply? Why is it not applying? Because I didn't hear anything about seniors or intermediate or anything, or under 15, under 13. I didn't hear anything like that. You just said junior golf, and they're all like lumped together. Why is that? Why is that? Do you want to take that, Mukiri?
Oh, yeah, well, I think we are at a stage where we are discovering ourselves as a golfing nation in terms of juniors. We have set ourselves a target that our youngest juniors should turn scratch at the age of 13 years. So currently we do have many juniors who are not yet there, but we are working to have everyone who is at the top level turn scratch at 13 years. So what that helps us is by the time they are 15, 16 and 17, then we are seeing these handicaps that you can see from the South Africans.
Yeah.
Look at Junaid for an example. Junaid was playing off +4 handicap.
Yeah, +4.
Is it? Last year but one, he was he could have made almost 6 steps to get to +4 handicap. That's a very fast progression, where you are almost making 4 or 5 movements within a year or 2. And so that means there's something that is working. And so we want to employ that to make sure that we bring it lower, and then by the time they're exiting the juniors, we can then have juniors who are as good as the South Africans, who are as big as the South Africans. And so Kanana just happens to be the best as we start off this place of discovering how we can really do well. Right? I think we had an average age of 16 years for the tournament. The South Africans were towards 18. And so that's also a plus for us, because it means we have 2 years to try to do what they're doing. And so those are things that we are doing well. Below these juniors who are top level, we have about 50 or 60 other juniors who are almost single handicap that we can target and bring lower and almost to scratch. So we have a plan. And we are just looking at these names, looking at what they need, and also asking for coaches, top coaches. We have top coaches training, but telling them, come and train the national team members and help us reduce these handicaps to handicaps that can compete at regional and international level. And so we are having a conversation with the coaches and telling them balance between private and also a bit of public, where you support us in this.
And I totally appreciate what you've just said, Bona Mukiri, because I was going to ask in terms of a pool, because earlier on I was saying, please maintain the same team, at least for Nagoya. But then this team also needs to feel some pressure from somewhere, because one of the things that we notice in team sport and even in individual sport is when you believe you're so good and then somebody that is better than you comes in and you start feeling that pressure, then what it does at that particular point is it pushes you forward. And I want to use the example of Mwadi. Allow me to do that, coach. Not preferring one player over the other. But Thige, when we went into this championship, Mwadi was not the best placed boy junior.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember when we were having a conversation here the first time, and Mwadi, if you're watching this, it doesn't mean that your coach doesn't love you. We were talking you as an outsider, but a team player that could do something. But then yesterday, remember my description here when I was at drama.
Yeah, he gave us
the way the tension from number 15, what Mwadi did to us in terms of our emotions. I was with Mukiri, by the way, and our hearts almost stopped because he gets a double bogey. From off the fairway, gets a double bogey, then gets a bogey, and then we are even counting. I remember even at some point, I called Shem. Now we are here. We are trying to count. The three of us are removing. We're like, okay, how many strokes have we lost? And Morocco have already finished. So, like, if we drop any strokes, it is done. Morocco who are seated comfortable somewhere waiting. So it is a whole group of people trying to do the math. Now we are hole number 17. The guy hits that par 3, he passes, he hits a very good shot. But now he has the pressure because he knows he needs to perform well. He attacks for birdie, the ball passes, and it was a downward putt. And then we all went, wah. Sasa kimeumana, the silence, remember I was describing, the silence that was there was like that silence of, Yani, this one is gone. Because if he drops a stroke there, and then he drops a stroke number 18, Morocco have taken it. It is gone. Morocco, a second, we are third. How Mwadi pulled a very long putt there, and then he gets a birdie on number 18 is beyond me. And I know you said it earlier on in terms of, it just shows the kind of a player he is. And it got me thinking, even for Mwadi at that point, and I know Mwadi, you'll watch this, it told me he's a big moment player, because when the whole gallery was there, you can imagine at that particular point, and it was not a short putt, it was almost 15.
It was almost the last part was almost 20 feet.
20 feet, I was about to say 15 feet. Thank you for correct, because it was 15 to 20 feet. It is not a short putt. So him just standing there, and you see the whole, like, everyone is around the green. This is now the pressure of a whole nation.
Yes.
He sank that one. So my question, and why I'm bringing that aspect is, Mwadi was an outsider. We had the others that were favorites. Mwadi came in. I hope when we go to Japan, and this is also a plea, and maybe a plea that we can also share with the government, is we know our boys are taken care of going to Japan. If the government can also sponsor 2 or 3 other boys, 3 or 4 other girls that can accompany this team, so that they also get that exposure when they go out there, because you see sometimes you also need that, so that they can feel that competition. And I believe we have players that can be able to get there, coach.
Yes, we do. Just about the last 2 holes Mwati played, we were there.
We were together.
So before he went to the tee box on number 17, as a team advisor for the boys, I went and talked to him, and the one thing I told him is just breathe. And Mwati, being Mwati, told me, Coach, I am built for this stage.
Yes.
And he delivered on 17 and 18 big time. That's the kind of confidence that boy has, and that skill. He's like, I do this every day. He wasn't shaken. So coming through like that is good. But like I said earlier, is from the squad we picked this, we had 12 boys and 10 girls who it was a tough competition. I mean, we have Justin Ngera from Vedlab, we have Mahir, we have Ronan, we have quite a number of boys who can take these guys on as well, and give them a run for their money. So to answer your question in short, yes, we do have others who can put pressure on them to make sure that they continue to stay on their game.
What we do is we have an order of merit that ranks all the boys and girls, the best boys and girls in the country. And this order of merit, luckily now, even the Kenya Golf Union, that is the senior, in charge of senior competitions, is giving us chances for our juniors to participate at the senior level. And so the boys and the girls have to keep participating and playing well, because the order of merit is where we pick those who are available and who are doing well for these opportunities. So no one can afford to sleep. In fact, we have even memorandums with schools to allow these players extra time to play and train to be ready for national duty. So it's becoming a lifestyle that, yes, I'm in school, but I'm also playing all around the week to ensure that I'm fit. So that is the structure that we have currently.
Well, that is the structure that you have now. I know Coach earlier on spoke about competitions, and I'll also now raise that question. because when you look at junior competitions, we've had issues, we've had complaints, because some of the major competitions are happening around the time when we have the school calendars on. And we had a captain's meeting earlier on this week, and that issue again came up. We have also heard from the government, the president first, and then the PS and the CS talking about wanting to start golf seriously in public schools. So how can we ensure that there's an alignment in terms of the school program when golf competitions happen? Even this coming week, we have the Tana Hill happening, and it will affect the juniors, because we have the juniors from the group of schools that have closed this past week, and then the ones for the public schools will close next week. Yet the juniors for the Tana Hill are supposed to play on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So that again affects them. So how do we synchronize the calendars to ensure that we have enough competitions for juniors, and it is not competitions that are only seen to favor one school system over the other?
So what we have done as a Junior Golf Foundation is for the competitions that count towards the order of merit, we have traditionally put them through the traditional school holidays. That is April, August, and December. So players are able to participate in those events. Where there are events that fall outside the regular holidays, then we work with schools to get concessions for these players. I believe that time has come where education and sports coexist in a way that is value adding for each. And even the golf in schools model will probably work that way. We are talking to schools and asking them, can you make golf part of your PE, physical education? Can you make it an after-school activity? Can you work with a golf course that is near there? And what we want is to be what football is in schools, where it is just part of the system. I mean, someone leaves school and the next moment they are playing this game. So that's the plan that we do have.
Okay. Just want to come in there. We've just mentioned this school program, and we've talked about it here. And on paper, it looks like a brilliant.
Hold that thought, because I want to play one commercial, because we have a commercial that we have to play. After that commercial, we'll come back with your question.
Thank you.
This is Radio Generation. Today's quick home comfort tips in association with Tile and Carpet.
Keep your prayer spaces hygienic and your floors pristine. Use custom Métis shoe cases from TNC at your entrance to encourage a shoe-free home, making hosting easier and your space more inviting.
Today's quick home comfort tips in association with Tile and Carpet.
Well, Tige, you had a question that you wanted to ask. This is the opportunity for you to do so.
Yeah, well, appreciating our sponsors for supporting Radio Generation, keeping us on air. Of course, getting back to the matter that I was raising. On paper, this school program looks like a brilliant plan. But then I am now happy that I have the individuals here who can break it down to us as to how does this actually work. And a little bit of background: I was in school when cricket, Kenya, tried to introduce cricket in public schools. I happened to be in a school where there was a heavy Indian population. Yes. I was in Parkland's secondary school. So by virtue of that, and in the Indian community, cricket is naturally a favorite sport, or a popular sport. But somehow those programs did not take root. And the results, the results. We were at some point playing
the semi-finals
in the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Yes.
Yes. Playing with West Indies and New Zealand toe to toe. Now we are far away from those levels. That school program did not work, and I can tell you some of the factors about it not working is leaving it to the schools, because the schools don't have the expertise, they don't have the infrastructure, and they honestly also don't have the will, because that's not their primary business. Their primary business is something else.
Yes.
So with that in mind, I want to just put it back to you to tell me how does this work? How do you bring it into, because we've seen also the success of rugby. Rugby is a beautiful example of introduction in mass schools and what that can do for the sport. So just kindly take us through it to Jue, tuone, how does it actually work on the ground?
Good question. To start with, getting it right will give us access to almost 10,000 juniors. So that's where we are starting from.
Yeah.
We currently have about 5,000 juniors who are active. So we are looking at about another 10,000. So this is what we have done with the school program. We've already pilot tested it in terms of how can we do it. And there are two approaches to it. We have schools that are near golf clubs. And what we have done is ask golf clubs to adopt a school where the school during PE or after classes can rush there and get 1 hour of training. And what we have done is for the schools that are not near, we have worked with the spaces that they have within schools. You only need a football pitch or any ground that can be used that's flat to play the game. And we have sent our coaches to those schools to execute. So you have coaches who are carrying clubs, golf clubs, and going and delivering that program. It is as basic as that. And I can tell you that it is a hit. Why is it a hit? Golf is a game of life. Golf teaches you character, golf teaches you integrity, golf teaches you resilience. And so when the players start playing it, they start to understand and walk a journey. Now, we are also going to the extent of turning those teachers, the PE teachers, being part of our coaches.
Okay.
You only need to turn them to become instructors by just teaching them in terms of introducing the game to the player. Once the player becomes good enough, they can then be told, go to the club, go to the course and play a better game. And so we have many schools that are training that. In March itself, we had an inter-school competition here in Nairobi. So what we are doing is then now introducing this to all our 6 regions. Today I asked a parent, you are a principal, how can I make, as a Junior Golf Foundation, golf in schools real for you? She told me one thing, give me inter-school competitions. Kids love inter-school competitions.
Yeah.
You know, we lived for those inter-football
Yes,
competitions.
yes.
And so that's what we want to do. And we have leagues that can work for schools, even for players who are non-handicapped, not just handicapped players, because we want the non-handicapped one to be the one who enjoys as they grow. So that can work. And of course, again, with the government support, when the president pronounced and says golf in schools, the PS takes it up, the Kenya Academy of Sports takes it up, then it means that it is being given life. So now we are looking at a curriculum that will be embedded in a school program that then gives us even more authority and more life and more structure to achieve that. So the program is actually called Golf in Schools and Communities.
Okay.
Such that as football, we used to, any space we could find, even on the road, you could play the game. So that is what we want for golf.
Okay.
And I am happy that rugby worked, and we can work it even in schools, in churches, everywhere. We can have golf in schools and communities.
Actually, you can see me smiling because he has responded so well. I thought at some point I might need to help him, but the president has it all covered. And I want to...
What I can add on that is golf is one of those sports that does... Yes, the golf course is expansive, but training and teaching golf does not need a lot of space. We can have... can hit into nets, we can... So the space is really not a problem, even if a school is far.
Yeah.
For instance, there is a school I teach, and we use a small like hockey field, right?
Okay.
And once or twice a term, we go to the golf course, right? But
So sorry. So you're already doing this, Shem. That's what I just wanted to capture that before you continue explaining.
yeah, I've been doing this for 5-6 years already.
Okay.
So I go to a school, I teach them in the spaces they have, so the kids don't have to leave school to go like find a golf course to play golf.
Okay.
But once or twice a term or few times a term, we take them to the actual course where they actually get the real experience of playing golf. But there's so many innovative ways to teach golf in smaller spaces, and that's what people need to embrace. We need to take it out there. JGF is doing, and KGU are doing a very good job. I know, for instance, a couple of months ago, we had about 20 KU students who are PE students in a community coaching program, learning how to teach golf. So as he said, and I said it last time I was here, KGU JGF is doing a very good job of working up and empowering coaches, building the capacity in coaching, which is what we will actually need to actualize.
And to move the game forward.
Yes.
Mukiri, I'm realizing we might need to hold you here for a few more minutes because we'll have to get to the top of the hour, play the news, and so you will give us a few more minutes because I don't think we've exhausted this topic. But and so hold that thought. But before, Karaoke now also need to talk about bringing the community also coming in to help the golf game grow. 2 years ago, the top Kenyan amateur, ameenda chini kidogo because of personal issues, but the top Kenyan amateur in this country was called Michael Karanga. Guess which golf club he was from?
Which one?
You give it a guess. I want you to give it a guess.
I don't know. Golf course?
No, which one? You at least we've been going around.
Yeah.
You can give any of the golf courses you know around.
Be from your club, railway?
No. Duberi.
At the what? At the K.
Duberi. You know, I'm sure you're expecting a very fancy Michael Karanga.
Duberi, there's a golf club.
Now, Mukiri, Abu help this guy.
Yes, there is. And not just Karanga, we have another one.
Moigua, the captain, the current captain of the Kenya team.
Yes.
Okay.
And it just shows you the potential that is across the country if we are able to tap all these things.
So Ebu kidogo. Kidogo.
I know.
So I'm like,
oh, by then he lives next to Duberi.
Oh, is it?
Do you know where the chief's office is in Jumbe?
I have an idea what you're talking about. Yes.
Do you know the small soccer pitch that's there in the chief's office?
Yes.
That turns into a Dumberi golf course when they needed to turn into a Dumberi golf course.
And they play whole tournament there.
And they play tournaments there.
What?
Yes, because sometimes we have to move the cows, and it's not a joke. Because it is also a grazing ground for cows.
No, we need to capture that. One of these days. Hiyo inataka kamera, hiyo inataka video.
Yes.
Hii ukiongea hapa tu story, hata mimi mwenyewe, first of all myself,
I could see the shock of
it's
no, I even enjoyed saying Kikuyu because you know there is no fancier way of saying that.
Tena tupige picha tulete sasa tuonyeshe watu this is in action, but that's very interesting. Murray, you're on to something, Murray.
No, what I was trying to say is because at the end of the day there's something that Coach Shem was trying to talk about, which was you need community and school involvement to help the game grow. And these afternoon we have some guests in studio. Vincent Mukiri, the Junior Golf Foundation president, as well as a team manager for the team, the juniors team that was playing in the All Africa Junior Team Championship, as well as Shem Orwenyo, who was one of the coaches of that team. And of course, our usual culprit here, who's confusing me today because I know he supports Manchester City. Today he's wearing a Liverpool cap. The only person who I know is that confused is usually our very own Shadi. Shadi today will wear a Tottenham t-shirt. Tomorrow he'll come with an Arsenal t-shirt.
It's not confusion. You are a fan of the sport first, then you become a fan of a club. But you cannot be. It's like those guys. You know, there was a time some Argentine guys had formed a church, where they used to worship Diego Maradona.
Yes.
And they had decided part of the rules of that church was that football ended after Diego Maradona. So they don't watch football anymore. And they cannot watch anything else that Diego is not part of. So what they were doing, they were just used to watch videos of old Diego Maradona games. So usitupeleke huko Muraya.
And hand of God on repeat.
Exactly.
Because that is the reason why. He's the hand of
God. So anyway, for me, first of all, I become a fan of the sport.
Yes.
First of all, I'm a sports fan, not just one sport. Then I zero into the sport itself, football, for example. Then I go into now those issues of country, team, player. Yeah, so also saluting one of the greatest clubs in the world. It may not be the club I support, but one of the greatest as well.
Why does it sound like you lost a bet somewhere?
I couldn't agree more.
I'm over-explaining.
Exactly.
No.
You're defensive.
No. Quite honestly, I think after this show, we'll take a picture with Mesfin
As you hand it over.
As I hand it over. I caught it somewhere, and I remembered I have a colleague and a friend who's a big Liverpool fan, and I told him I'll bring this. You can remember me telling him I'll bring him.
You did.
I'll bring him this.
But you did not have to wear it. Do you know, by the way, if I was to bring, it's like me, we were here with Banis the other time.
Yeah.
And you had me say it very categorically.
Yeah.
I have been offered signed Arsenal jerseys by her, and I have said no.
Mimi nitaiva.
Siwezi.
Nitaiva vizuri sana.
Siwezi. Baya tu kuambia ukweli. Yani the team I support, mi kiburi yangu mbele imefika. Ai, siwezi kubali. Hiyo siwezi jikuta. By the way, Shem and Mukiri, which do you support football? Do you watch football? Which teams do you support? It will be interesting to hear this.
Well, I played football all my life, and I support Manchester United. I'm not sure you can support any other team.
You are a great man. Sasa wacha tumgoja Shem. Mbona anakaa kuwa mtu wa Chelsea?
No, I do not have a football team I support. I'm a fan of football, but I do not support any team.
Good. So umenalalaili thing. I'm a football fan.
I realized at some point I used to be a sports fanatic, and I realized the teams I was supporting were almost giving me heart attacks. So at one point I realized, I said, these people are almost giving me a heart attack. They're getting their millions. I'm almost going to the hospital. What is the value for me? So me, I watch sports just for fun and to enjoy it, regardless of which team is playing.
Yani wewe ni wale watu wa kusema mimi mpira wazungu haitanipatia pressure.
Lakini I'm very interested. Hiyo club inapatiaga watu heart attack. Unajua?
Hiyo ni Arsenal.
It was not a football team.
Okay.
Anyway, we move on. We go back to golfing issues. So golfing issues and Mukiri, we were talking about Dumberi, and sorry, towards the end I had to do a lot of the speaking because I could see we were running down the clock. But I want us to go back there because the two of you had spoken about what happens if a community comes together and they hold their children. Because even as I was speaking about Dumberi Golf Club and its origins, and we were talking about Michael Karanga, I have met his grandfather, and his grandfather is an avid lover of the game. He always shows up to their, even when they had their club at the shopping center, he'd show up there every so often. And karaoke, by the way, when I say this, I mean it. You see where the Dumberi Brot is?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, how Brot,
I know what you're
where the
talking
shopping
about.
center is.
Yes.
That is where their clubhouse was.
Yeah.
Like within, I know they've been given a piece of
Within
land.
the
Kabe, that
yes,
one.
yes.
So I know they've been given a piece of land, like inside the showground where they're supposed to club, which they haven't started yet, but so they are still at the Buroti. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is, as long as the community agrees and embraces a sport, it can be able to work, and golf is transforming people within that community, and I don't want to be the one to advocate for this now. I throw it back to you two gentlemen to talk about that, and I'm sure you know of other spaces. In Nakuru, I know you've been in Nakuru for a very long time. Njoro itself started off very similarly.
I'll give you a story about Nakuru. Before I came to VetLab, I was in Nakuru.
That's why I pointed at you in Nakuru.
Yes, and one of the reasons I'm here is because of the work I did in the community. What I used to do is I used to enroll the kids for the caddies and the neighborhood kids into JGF. That way they had access to the golf course. Obviously, there was a lot of noise about it, but because they were members of JGF, they couldn't be.
You can't stop them from.
You can't stop them from accessing. So at some point, I had over 40 kids. Towards the tail end, I started teaching the Ronald Ngala School for the Deaf in Nakuru. Again, through JGF, getting the membership. At some point, we realized that we need to reduce the conflict with the members of clubs. So just outside the golf club, somebody, a generous person, offered about quarter an acre plot where we built a putting green and we built nets where
So like
kids,
a small range.
Yes, so kids could hit full shots into the net, and it's functional and it's working and it's serving the community right now. So an area as small as a quarter acre, right, is enough to have a golf facility for coaching. So that's an example of just how a community can come together and support the game.
Has your question been answered? That is the question you had asked, but I know Mukiri wants to chime in as well.
I think for me, what we were seeing is that for as long as it's only the people who knew about the game were the ones approaching us, we were losing out. And so through the golf in schools and communities, even those who do not know the game can have it demystified. Because when you go to school, every person is going to school, or a lot of the population is going to school. So they will hear about the game. Right now, we are doing something we are calling she golfs, where we are telling girls, because girls have got a slightly different lifestyle approach to the game than men, and telling them, even through your teenage, even through your motherhood, you can have a golf game that works for you. Because as a man, you can be able to have 6 hours out. The lady may not have 6 hours out. As a teenager, as a boy, you may be able to play the game without a worry.
Yeah.
The teenage girl may not be able to do that. And so you must customize the game for her. And so it's more about understanding how the communities work, understanding how the schools work, and then coming up with programs that work for them. We have something else we call inclusive golf, where we have people who are different abled, like he has talked about. They want to play the game, but they can't play the traditional game. So as the Junior Golf Foundation, as the Kenya Golf Foundation, Kenya Ladies Golf Union, then you must walk a journey of understanding them, creating for them a space where they can walk, and then truly the community can actually play the game. And when we do that, we will have won, because then we will impact all these lives. Golf brings in a lot of money. Not everyone will become a professional. Some will become sports journalists, others will become physiotherapists, others will become teachers and coaches of the game. And so even career-wise, we have a great choice of offerings that come from golf. Not to mention that even colleges out there, these days, if you are a good player, if you are a single handicap, you are assured of a scholarship in America. So the question is, where are the linkages? And so golf is really a game changer if it's taken well, both at administration, at the player level, at the coach level, at the parent level. And that is the conversation we must have.
Now, I want to take you back, Mukiri.
Let me just chime in and just throw in something. I mentioned that I started teaching the Gala School for the Deaf.
Yes.
Recently, we had the Deaf Olympics in Japan. One of the students I started teaching actually went to represent Kenya in Japan.
And that must have been a proud moment for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Morai is letting you guys down.
By the way.
Morai,
Actually, I was coming. The question I wanted to ask had something to do with you.
Based on what I've heard.
Yes.
No. Here we call things as they are. This station is called the home of hard truths and bold insights.
Yes.
Now, the hard truth is, I was thinking that when we had a conversation here about golf for schools, I was thinking it's a story.
Yes.
So I just wanted to dig deep, and that's why I was asking you about, let's get into how does it actually work on the ground.
Yes.
And then now you bring in, it's not just schools, it's schools and communities, and the story expands and has grown wings. It's a whole
new animal.
It's a whole new animal, as you said. So that now when I start looking at where the buck stops, I turn to this guy.
Yes.
Because he is the guy. How come I don't know about these things?
But that is why they're here.
No. Go there. As a journalist or as a person in media, if I don't have this knowledge, what about the listener, the viewer? How much more in the dark are they? So then the challenge comes back and it's a communication challenge. I believe Morai is part of the media team for the junior golf.
Yes. Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Sasa Morai, kazi kwako.
Kazi
Utajitetea ukiwa upande gani?
Unajua the beauty, mimi sihitaji kujitetea because I think hata yesterday we had a meeting with our boss. Hata yeye ameanza kusema lakini siku hizi mnaongea juu ya golf sana. So that in itself already tells you there's something that you are talking about. And every time that question, you've asked me that question several times. Shadi has asked me every time you guys have said golf is expensive, and I keep on saying no. it is not expensive. In fact, the question I wanted to ask Mukiri next is because there's something he spoke about customizing the game for girls. And I wanted to say, Bwana Mukiri, I have 2 daughters. Before he thinks I'm attacking him, I have 2 daughters. Karaoke also has daughters. Shadi has a daughter. He keeps on saying, Apana, my daughter has to play this game. Now, Karaoke, the lady that led this junior tournament, the South African lady, she's called Lorenda Stein. Overall, because I can see the overall standing, overall, she was the one who's number 2. So she beat her own male colleagues. She beat the boys from her own country. So it already shows you, just looking at this level of golf, because she played 8 under. So overall, she was number 2.
Wow.
After Andre. So it was Andre number 1, Lorenda number 2.
Okay.
So ilikuwa ni boy, the overall boy winner, then the overall girl winner following each other.
Wow.
So how do you customize the game? And you've just mentioned that there's a program that you have that is customizing the game for girls. And we are already seeing a girl here who's not only beating boys from her own country who are better handicaps than her, because if we look at the boys that are behind her, because South Africa took position 1, 2, 3, and 4, but having taken position 2, the boys that were below her were all better handicaps than her, but she beat all of them, which also now is a way to encourage the girls. And I'm also now telling the girls out there that might be listening to us that it does not necessarily mean that you cannot also play at the same level. These guys were playing the same course, and even when it comes, in fact, I remember on day 2, Bianca was also leading, was the best player for Kenya. She only drops now strokes on the last day, but on day 2, when you looked at the overall standing,
She was third.
she was third. So that already tells you, and that's why I want you to talk about that customization of the girls program, and why even girls need to start thinking about golf seriously. And I know that we had a PGA ladies event that used to happen in Vipingo that went away from this year, and a lot of people might look at that as Kenyans losing and us having not having a lot of opportunities for girls as well. What are the plans for girls? Because we will talk a lot about the boys, because boys have opportunities, to be very open, to be very honest. But we also have ladies now that are turning pro. We have 3 pro ladies at this particular moment who are members of PGK.
When you look at the statistics in Kenya, girls are actually at the top level. Our girls have done better than the boys. This is not the first time that the girls are number 2. They were number 2 in South Africa 2 years ago. And so when you look at the potential is huge. Unfortunately, the golf as designed takes a very long time on the course. Can be a bit demanding in terms of physicality, and so the girl may want a different say. I'll give you an example. A mother may not necessarily want to be out in the course for 8 hours. She has a family. And so you would want to take an 18 hole and make it a fun 9 hole, such that in 2 hours she's out and back home looking for the family. Or you may want to do a family game that then she can be part of, as opposed to the traditional 18 holes and then the 19th hole. And so looking at how long should the girl stay on the course. If it's a teenage girl and she's having her, she's growing and becoming very aware, and she starts saying sports is not for me, I don't want to get muscle, how do you then customize a space where she feels space? She feels that I am safe, and that means she needs a mentor to look up to who can then say, oh, I have done this and this. This is how I walked my journey. I don't know whether you heard about Naliaka and the work that she has done. I don't know whether you know that there are a lot of players out there who are women who have achieved in life and are great golfers. And so we want to go and walk out to them and tell them, be mentors to these girls. Show them that the game can work. Let us, as Junior Golf Foundation, as Kenya Golf Union, come up with games that or leagues that are for girls that are not necessarily the traditional games. In the UK, they do have games that are only 6 holes. You play 6 holes and you go home, and you can actually have the same amount of fun. So just that understanding is where we are working towards the She Golf. We are calling it the She Golf Initiative. Through golf in schools, luckily, we can tell the school, give us 1 girl for 1 boy. So the girls are not left behind. Traditionally, the boys are the ones who would come. In fact, maybe a parent would come and say, my boy wants to start golfing.
True.
But now we need to tell people that golf can be played by both girls and boys. And it's not a boys' game, it's not a girls' game. Where do they get that? By looking at those who have gone ahead. So just that awareness, shouting about it, creating mentorships, and having events at the club. Remember, traditionally, golf clubs are also men. There's a lot of men. So how do you create safe spaces for those young girls who may want to just be different? That awareness in the golf clubs, in the Junior Golf Foundation, with the coaches. Girls have safeguarding issues, probably more than boys. How do you then understand that and come up with things that protect them so that they can have fun as they play the game?
Those are all very, very good questions, very, very valid questions. We have a tournament coming up in Japan. And of course, Shem, we said we'll keep you away from the politics. But we have a promise that the government will be taking the girls as well as the boys. So the question is, how prepared are we? What are you going to change from the regime that you had? And how do you ensure that come June, because we are talking about literally 2 months away. So in 2 months, our boys and our girls will be a notch higher when it comes to their level of golf.
Yes. Briefly, I mean, a lot of their work is that it's not that the South African out-hit them. Mm-hmm. It's not that the South Africans out-part them or out-chip them. I think the difference is the mental aspect of it, the strategy and mental aspect. So that's what we are going to work. One of the things maybe we will do is we will download that course that we're going to play in Japan so that they start familiarizing it with it mentally. They don't have to see it when they step on it. I can tell you for free, South Africans knew Windsor golf course very well before they stepped on it.
Oh, how is that?
Because they downloaded the
they were playing
course,
the virtual game.
The course layout is out there. They go and see, okay, this hole, how would I play it? Number 2, I don't need a driver because I need to hit a 200-yard shot.
Interesting.
So they play it. So some of those is mental games that we have to incorporate in the training. A little more physical fitness, among other things.
Well, for me, it's just wishing you all the best. He's wishing you all the best in that tournament. And wow, really, really happy. This is an eye-opener. Perhaps because we are just talking about this. Really, really looking forward to those results. But then already my eyes and my vision listening to this conversation is cast beyond Tokyo. Is it Tokyo?
Yes. No, Nagoya.
Japan.
Yeah, it's cast beyond that tournament and into what looks like a very bright future, if managed well, for the sport of golf in Kenya. The other thing that I would want for you to reiterate, Mukiri, it's been mentioned here, but I would like you to reiterate about what the charges are for juniors registering and being able to access the golf courses and that we have around the country.
So again, the Junior Golf Foundation, in collaboration with the Kenya Golf Union and Kenya Ladies Golf Union, together with the clubs, have allowed juniors to access their clubs for a nominal fee. I think currently it's about 200 shillings. And the only condition is that you become a JGF member. Now, to be a JGF member, you only need to pay 1,000 shillings every year to be a JGF member. So that then gives you access to all the courses in Kenya, and you only need then to pay 200 for your event. So that means when you go with your daughter, you sit down and she accesses the course for 200 shillings. If you want to access the course, then you pay the 5,000 or 6,000 that the course requires you to pay. That is a great, that has helped with access. And it has brought a lot of juniors in droves to the course because 200 shillings is really a very affordable fee.
Yeah, so the other challenge they may have is maybe as they're planning to buy their own
kits,
their own kit.
Yes.
Is there assistance? If I don't have the kit, I have my 200 bob, I've paid my 1,000 bob. How do I get assisted?
Well, last year and some years before, we've given clubs to golf clubs so donated golf clubs, and these golf clubs become available for juniors. We targeted juniors. I think we gave out about 100 sets of clubs across the country, and so it is our hope and trust that the clubs are then using that to help juniors to access the game. We also had a program where the junior gets 50 balls for free at the range, so just to encourage and reduce the cost of the game. So at the beginning, you don't need anything. You just need to walk in with your 200 shillings, and the coach and the trainer there should be ready to welcome you for a great journey of golf.
Okay.
Or you can look for Shem. Because
Wonderful.
Shem keeps on telling you that he trains juniors. That is why he's the national juniors coach at this particular moment, because of his work, the work that he has done in Nakuru. Now he's at VetLab, also teaching there as their pro there. But most importantly, his work has been majorly, and he has said it. Like, you know, I'm just reiterating what he said. It's kind of kama anampigia debe, mwenyewe anajipigia debe yake. But to just mention that he's very big on children's golf. Now, as a parting shot, and I'll allow you, Mukiri, to just speak to what are your needs. Do you need any corporates to come on board? Because again, that is something that we also need to do. We know government has already pledged. Your boys are already taken care of in terms of everything, or their logistics going to Japan. But we were also talking about having a few extras so that they can be able to get that exposure out there. The girls, the government has said they can't be able to assist. But do you need, like, what are your needs? What are your asks to ensure that, one, your boys and girls are very comfortable in Nagoya, but also just growing the game for JGF at this particular moment?
That's a great question, and that's kind of you to ask. Of course, we have needs. First is to appreciate the sponsors that we have worked with. We have our sponsor, our lead sponsor being NCBA, who have supported us over all, I think, the last 3-4 years. And we have other sponsors like Vincent, who've allowed us to use their course. And even during this event, we got on board a number of sponsors, of course, not forgetting the government. But it's never enough. The reason it's never enough is as you create a squad that is a winning squad, the demands become bigger and better. I'll give you an example. Traveling costs a lot of money. So there are very many opportunities out there. Countries like South Africa last months out there training and looking for opportunities. So our players are at a point where they are demanding. Coaching is pricey. I mean, mental coaches are not cheap. Nutrition coaches are not cheap. Strength and conditioning are not cheap. So as a Junior Golf Foundation, as we roll out these systems, we are looking for partnerships with sponsors. Traditionally, sponsors have looked at senior golf, and that's where probably their focus has been. But my challenge to them is look at junior golf, because when you invest in a junior, then you're investing for a lifetime. And so looking at that, I think our needs are more of that. When we get that, then we are able to use superior equipment. Superior equipment allows us to analyze better. Traveling allows us exposure. We currently have something we call the regional squads. We have 6 regions as a Junior Golf Foundation across the country, and we have established regional squads. That is the best 10 juniors in each region. These require now to be trained on a monthly basis. It needs money. We have coaches across the country who need to be trained from one level to the other to become better coaches so that you can become better players. So it's a monster. It's a big, big thing. And so whatever money comes is appreciated, and whatever support and whatever exposure. Even this exposure is good because there are people who have never heard about what we are talking about.
True.
So it's something that is complete circle, and the need never dies, never goes away, but whatever comes is put to good use. I think that's the promise I can make.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Coach. Now, Shem, there will be that question for you as well. But also, I want to quote something you said that you don't remember you said on the 18th hole when your young boy sank that putt. You told him, and I heard you say it to him, you cannot do this. You did this in Uganda, and now you're doing it again now. And that was in reference to Mwadi's putt. He is the one who sank, I think, the last putt for the Victoria Cup win in Uganda, and he did it again for you in Nairobi at the Windsor Golf and Country Club. So the reason why I'm bringing out that particular element is that elevation of the game, because we are talking about bringing in juniors, and one of the biggest impediments we've had in the growth of golf in this country has been that progression. We have elite amateurs who have refused to turn pro because we've not been having a lot of programs. You are a pro yourself. At least now we are starting to see more competitions for pros. So as you talk about what he has spoken about, because I know there's something you wanted to add, I also want you to also talk about the growth of the game and the opportunities that are there, even as we talk, because the juniors need to understand that they can make money out of golf.
So I had spoken about the opportunities that are coming up for pro golfers, which is something now that will generate and encourage more amateurs to turn pro. We have the Sunshine Development Tour. The beauty of the Sunshine Development Tour is that it's a step up to the Sunshine Tour in South Africa. It gives us world ranking points, right? And world ranking points is the criteria that country qualify, for instance, to play in Olympics. Okay? With the KGU and KLGU and JGF, they get the junior WAGA rankings. Again, they are ranked against their peers across the world. I hope the Equator Tour at some point will also get to the world ranking points, because if they do, then our players will have more opportunities out there. So for the juniors who are just coming up, I think it's now we are moving to an era where a professional golfer can make a living out of playing golf. To the sponsors out there, as Mukiri has articulated very well, golf is there's a huge need for support. For instance, in VetLab, we are trying to do free trainings for juniors. It needs some sponsorship. So we need sponsors to be able to come in and sponsor the free junior training program at VetLab or at Sigona or at Railways, where now we can be able to open this field of training to more juniors. We need to partner with public schools, right, to promote what JGF and the government is trying to do, getting golf in schools. So sponsors are needed to come out and say, hey, we can partner with this particular school, and this is the nature of the partnership that we need to have. Because even as sponsors, we understand that they need something back, and it's just a matter of structuring it. So for those out there who would like to sponsor, reach out to JGF, reach out to me for VetLab. If you want to come to VetLab, reach out to the your local club, and find a way how you can support the junior golf in those areas. And as we close, to just see the level of talent we have, I want to invite people to come next week to you asked if there's a large number of juniors behind these ones. Mm-hmm. Come out next week to Royal and watch the Junior Tanner Hill tournament, and you'll see the level of competition and the level of talent that we have out there. Because Monday and Tuesday, every club is putting forward their best juniors to come and compete head to head.
All right.
Right? So we welcome you to come and see and see what kind of talent is out there.
Thank you very much. And for my club also, Railway, where I'm the vice captain, if anybody wants to reach out, I am also very available and very happy to ensure that your juniors also get an opportunity. For Dige, you have no excuse anymore. I have given you two options. And you see, here's the most interesting thing, Coach Shem.
Yes.
The other time, this guy, if he wants to get to town quickly, he drives through Vet.
Yeah.
Literally.
he said he lives around the area. Yes. So I'm actually waiting him to come and sign up for some lessons. Not just you, but you and your children.
Yep. I'm telling you, that is his Panya route. Akipata Wayaki weko na traffic, anatupitianga hapo Vet, that is his way. And they are talking Westlands, that is his route. And I'm not lying, and he can say if I'm lying. So if you have no excuse, we've given you two options from where you live. You have Duberi and you have Vet.
Well,
take your pick.
Viewers and listeners, unaona what happens when you put somebody on the spot. Yes. Unaona vile ana revenge at the end of the show. Because I put him on the spot for not communicating the wonderful things that JGF and generally golf has. But I believe it's been a fruitful conversation, and I will take you up on that, Shem. I already have your number. I'll be following up on that. But yeah, more than that, it's been very fruitful conversation. Look forward to the Tannehill, and of course look forward to seeing you guys either before you jet out for Nagoya or immediately after you jet back into the country. Johnny Masses and all the best with that tournament. Yeah.
For me, I want to thank you all, because with this conversation we're having, a lot of people are getting information that's not out there.
Yeah.
So as often as you can afford to give us time to come and speak about golf, every time I sit on this table, Mukiri sits on that chair, there's something else, something new that we can share to the larger public that will develop this game.
We will develop this game, and indeed that is exactly what we want. Now, Thige, you kept on talking about rugby being one of the sports that grew out of being introduced in schools, from the elite schools to shule za kawaida.
Yep.
And I can tell you, kuna katim kamekuwa kakitusumbua pale HSBC Sevens too.
Yeah.
Ile kichapo wanapata sahi. As things stand, there was a match that was kicking off at exactly 4:22 p.m. between Germany and Kenya. Remember, Germany beat us at home during the HSBC Sevens 2 series that was played here in Nairobi, and they also beat us again in Uruguay last week.
Yep.
Sahi iko 31-7. Only. Yeah, Kenya are leading 31-7 in the second half with 2 minutes to go. We'll keep you posted on that. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I feel honored as well.
Thank you.
And I'll walk this journey with you. We've started this journey together as part of the JGF family. We will walk this journey together, and we'll ensure we have as many kids as possible playing this game, and also for them to understand that it is a game that they can participate in, and we are removing that elitism, because that has always been the tag that it is an elitist sport. So we are trying to remove that tag. Do you want to say something?
Oh yes, and of course I'm just looking at the internet and looking at WhatsApp, and I can see our boss Brian Evusa. What's up, Ndosi? Yeah, really loving this conversation. I believe he'll probably also be bringing his girls.
Actually, he has attempted to play golf at some point.
He'll be bringing his girls. I can bet you that, yeah. So thanks, Brian. Thanks, guys.
The Sports Garage, fueling your afternoon with the fire of sport.